Okay, today's lesson is Module 1, Lesson 4. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to use exponents to denote powers of 10 with application to metric conversions. Okay, our first fluency that we're going to do, we're going to state the unit as a decimal. As we learned, the decimal place values are tenths, hundredths, thousandths. We know that the tenths place is first after the decimal, the hundredths place is second after the decimal, the thousandths place is third after the decimal. So if we have the unit form 9/10, we know that we would write it as 0.9. 10/10, we would write it as 1.0. 20/10, we would write it as 2.0. 30/10, we would write it as 3.0. 70/10, we would write it as 7.0. 900ths, we would write it as 0.09. So one more. 10 hundredths, we would write it as 0.10. Remember, tenths is first after the decimal, hundredths is second after the decimal. Yesterday's lesson, we talked about exponential form. Remember, our exponent tells us how many zeros and how many tens are in the number we're working with. So if I have 100, you should know that that missing exponent is 2 because we have 2 zeros. Fourth grade review. In fourth grade, we learned that 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. We learned that 1 kilogram equals 1,000 grams. We learned that 1 liter equals 1,000 milliliters. And we learned that 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. So those are our metric units. Okay, today we're going to talk about converting, which means to change between units. So we're going to go from meters to centimeters, or meters to millimeters, or millimeters to meters, back and forth. So we're going to start with 2 meters. So I'm going to set my problem up. 2 meters. I know I have to do something to it. I need a power of 10. And I'm going to change it to, let's start with centimeters. Notice I gave you some hints. Your first hint is if we go from a large unit to a small unit, we need to multiply. If we go from a small unit to a large unit, we need to divide. We learned in fourth grade, 1 meter is 100 centimeters, and also 1 meter is 1,000 millimeters. So we're moving from meters to centimeters, which I hope we remember that the meter is the large unit and the centimeter is the small unit. So because we're going from large to small, we need to multiply. So there's our operation. Okay. We're using centimeters and meters, so I'm going to go to my sentence that talks about meters and centimeters, and I know my power of 10 I'm using is 100. But instead of 100, I'm going to write it in exponential form. 10 to the power of 2. Because remember, 2 zeros makes my exponent 2. So in order for me to go from meters to centimeters, I need to multiply by 10 to the power of 2, which is the exact same as multiplying by 100. Okay? So 2 is a whole number, so remember our shortcut from previous video. We know we can do basic fact, which is 2 times 1 is 2. My exponent says add 2 zeros. So I know that 2 meters equals 200 centimeters. Okay. Next, my question asks me to change those 2 meters to millimeters. So I'm going to set my problem up. 2 meters. I need an operation. I need a power of 10. And I'm changing it to millimeters this time. So once again, I'm going to figure out if I'm going from a large unit to a small unit or a small unit to a large unit. Well, remember, a meter is larger than a millimeter. So because I'm going large to small, my hint tells me to multiply. This time I'm using meter and millimeter, so I'm looking at my sentence that talks about meter and millimeter. So my power of 10 is 1,000, but I want to write it as a power of 10 in exponential form. So that's going to be 10 to the power of 3. 3 zeros, so my exponent is 3. Because 2 is a whole number, I can do basic fact, add zeros. My basic fact is 2 times 1 is 2. My exponent says add 3 zeros. So I know that 2 meters equals 2,000 millimeters. Okay. Now let's look at it with words. It tells me that a ribbon measures 4 5/10 meters. Convert its length to centimeters. So I'm going to skip down, give myself some room. I'm going to set my problem up. Actually, I'm going to do it up here. So for my problem, I need to take 4 5/10 meters. I'm going to have to do an operation with a power of 10. And they're asking me to change it to centimeters. So far, all I need is set up the problem. They gave me a total, 4 5/10 meters. They want me to convert it to centimeters. Okay? So, once again, I know meters are larger than centimeters. So, because I'm going large to small, I need to multiply. I learned in 4th grade that there are 100 centimeters in a meter. So I'm going to put my power of 10 as 10 to the power of 2. Notice, we do not have a whole number, so you cannot do basic fact as zeros. Lesson 2, I taught you how to use a place value chart to work decimals. So I'm going to come down and draw me a quick little place value chart. Remember, that's simply a rectangle. Okay, I'm going to put, let me divide that up. My decimal right there. So, there's my place value chart. I do a rectangle and divided it up into place values. I need 4 5/10. Remember, on my place value chart, we learned that when we multiply, we shift our digits to the left. And whatever my exponent is tells me how many shifts to do. So this tells me to shift left 2 times. So everything is going to shift 1, 2. 1, 2. I'm not at my decimal yet, so I need a 0 to get back there. So I know my answer will be 450 centimeters. So 4 5 meters equals 450 centimeters. Simple steps. Follow steps. Now let's change 67 millimeters to meters. Give myself some room. I'm going to set up my problem. It's asking me to take 67 millimeters and convert it. So I need an operation, a power of 10, and it wants me to convert it to meters. Okay? Remember, our first step after setting up is I figure out, are we going large unit to small unit or small unit to large unit? Remember, we've been saying that a meter is bigger than a millimeter. So this time we're going small to large, which tells me to divide. And we learned in 4th grade, and if we forgot it, we have a hint. How many millimeters are in a meter? 1,000. So my power of 10 is going to be a base of 10 with an exponent of 3. 10 to the power of 3. Should look familiar. Okay? So, I have a whole number. I can do my basic fact, add zeros. Well, for this one, my basic fact is 67 times 1 equals 67. My exponent says add 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3. So I know that 67 millimeters is equal to 67,000 meters? Absolutely not. Can anybody figure out what my mistake was? In a division problem, should my answer ever get bigger? No, it should not. So what I did was multiply instead of divide. So now I gotta go back and do that over. This time we need to divide. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and pull my chart out because I'm moving too fast. So here's my place value chart. Divided into place value. I'm gonna put my decimal right here. 67 is a whole number. So I need 6, 7. Remember when we divide, we're shifting on that place value chart to the right. My exponent says go right 3 times. So I'm going to take everything right 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Puts my 7 right there. 1, 2, 3. Puts my 6 right there. My decimal is here. I need a placeholder to get me back to it. So that gives me 67 thousandths. So I know that 67 millimeters equals 67 thousandths of a meter. Okay. Did they give me a no? No. So I'm going to do one more. Since I multiplied instead of divided on this one, we're going to go through one more just to make sure you're clear on the steps. So this time I want to change 83 millimeters. I need an operation and a power of 10, and we're going to change it to meters. Okay? Remember that first step. I got to figure out which is my large unit, which is my small unit. Well, I know millimeters are really small. See how I done went through it? There you go. I know that millimeters are really small, which means my meter is my large unit. So because I'm going small to large, I need to divide. We learned in 4th grade that 1,000 millimeters make 1 meter. So I'm dividing by 1,000. Remember, my power of 10 for 1,000 is 10 to the power of 3. Because I have 3 zeros, my exponent has to be 3. I can always use a place value chart to help me. Place value chart, simply draw your rectangle. Split it. 3, 4, 5, 6. Come over 3 and put your decimal. Then split it in half. Voila, you have a place value chart. Your whole number is 83. Oops. So I'm going to write an 83. Okay, remember when we divide on the place value chart, we shift to the right. My exponent is 3 because I have 3 zeros, so it tells me to shift right 3 times. So everything goes right 3 times. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I got to get back to this decimal right here, so I need a 0. So I'm going to copy my answer. And that tells me that 83 millimeters equals 83 thousandths of a meter. Okay, and that is how we convert between units. We went from millimeter to meter. We've done a meter to centimeter. Okay, that wraps this lesson up. We'll do more practice in class and on our problem sets once you get back to class. Remember, in today's lesson, we learned how to use exponents to denote powers of 10 with application to metric conversions. Remember, conversions mean to convert, to change. Until next time,